Problem 6, part 1. There are 3 parts to this problem. We'll do them one at a time. This is exercise 215 in the book. This is probably the most comprehensive problem I've asked you to do yet. So, let's get started. Let's see what information they give us. Okay, they tell us this company uses job order costing. Again, good, that's the only one we know. They have 2 departments, molding and manufacturing. That means there's going to be 2 sets of inputs. There could be 2 different amounts of labor, 2 different amounts of material, 2 different amounts of overhead, and 2 different amounts of cost of overhead per unit. So, they tell us that the variable manufacturing overhead in the molding department is $3 and the variable cost for overhead in the fabrication department is $1. They tell us during the year they had no beginning inventories. That's nice. They had no ending inventories. That's nicer. That means what they made, they sold, so we don't have to compute ending work in process, ending finished goods inventory. There is none. We make it, we sell it. So, they had 2 jobs, D70 and C200. I have no idea how they came up with those numbers. Although I do have a friend who's a contractor. He has 1 pickup truck and the truck's number is 13. I asked him why. He said it makes people think he has 12 more trucks. So, they had these 2 jobs. Job D70 used $375 in direct material for molding and $325 from the fabrication part. And the direct labor, as you can see, was $2 and $160. So these were the total costs for job D70 minus the overhead. We haven't added that yet, so we have to figure that out. Let's see what else these little gem wants us to do. Okay, they had no under-applied or over-applied manufacturing overhead. That to me is BS. I've never seen a company do that. It means they guessed exactly a year in advance exactly what their overhead costs were going to be and exactly how they were going to apply that. If they were that bloody smart, they wouldn't have to make anything. They would pick lottery numbers and sit back and relax. But anyhow, that's what they're telling us. And they're telling us that they use machine hours to apply the overhead. Okay? And this job had 6,000 machine hours in molding and 24,000 hours there. And this piece belongs to this. So job D70 had 14,000 machine hours from molding and 6,000 hours from fabrication. Okay, so they're the total machine hours for job D70, machine hours for C200. Okay. It says assume they use a plant-wide rate. Plant-wide, as you know, means one size fits all. We're going to come up with one rate that applies to everybody. So the first thing it asks us to do in 1A is compute the plant-wide predetermined overhead rate. Okay, so let's do that. So the total estimated fixed manufacturing overhead for the molding department, because we have to do it, remember, because they keep track of 2 departments, so we have to do everything 2 times twice. The fixed manufacturing overhead was $700,000. And while we're at it, the fixed manufacturing overhead for the fabrication department was $210,000. And then they estimate at $3 per hour, and they estimated that they were going to have 20,000 hours in molding and 30,000 hours in fabrication. So we're going to multiply the $3 times 20,000. You see where the $3 came from. So $3 times 20,000, 60,000. So the total estimated manufacturing overhead for the molding department, $760,000. The estimated variable manufacturing, 1 times 30,000 is 30,000. And the estimated total manufacturing cost for the fabrication department is $240,000. So now, because we're using a plant-wide rate, we need to combine those to get the total overhead, and when we do, we come up with $1 million. So let's take that $1 million so our total estimated overhead is the $1 million. And remember, we estimated a total of 50,000 hours, machine hours, between the molding department and the fabrication department, for a total of 50,000. And when we do that math, we come up with $20,000, or yeah, 20,000, I'm sorry. $20 per machine hour. Per machine hour. That's the total overhead. That's the total hours, machine hours. And every time a machine is on, for each hour we use that machine, we estimate that it costs us $20 per hour. The next step it asks us to do, in part B, it says, compute the total manufacturing cost assigned to both jobs. So the direct materials they give us for molding and fabrication, and they give us the direct labor for molding and fabrication. So we have to do that next. So our direct materials for the D70 is $700,000. And our direct materials for C200 hold on a second here. Direct materials for C200 it's $550. I didn't get that. I wanted to make sure you see where I got that from. They gave us that. Direct material for C200 is $550. The direct labor, again, you see where we got those. We got those from the information they gave us up front. Okay, the direct labor, see where that came from. Okay, they tell us that the direct labor, so we need to pick up the direct labor of $360 I'm getting lost in my pieces here. The direct labor cost for job D70, right there, 360. And the direct labor for C200, 400,000. And now we have to apply the overhead based on the hours. And remember, it's $20 per machine hour. And they give us the machine hours. 20,000 and 30,000 are the machine hours. Okay, so for and these are in order, so we have 20,000 is per machine hour. That's 400,000 for D70, and $20 per hour times 30,000 is 600,000 for C200. So the total manufacturing cost is 1,460,000 for D70 and 1,550,000 for C200. The next thing they ask us is the bid prices. How much should we bid? Well, they tell us that they mark these up 150%, or 50% on top of the cost. So you could take 50% of that and add it to that number, or you could simply just multiply by 1.5. That's what I'm going to do. 1,460,000 times 150% gives you $2,190,000. I'm going to do the same thing here. Gives me 2,325,000. Now, that's part A, B, C, and D asks us what is Delft's cost of goods sold for the year? You probably saw that and freaked because we didn't go over cost of goods sold. But if they made and sold everything, no beginning inventories, no ending inventories, their manufacturing cost is their cost of goods sold. So, a little more comprehensive problem than I've asked you to do so far, but well within your skill set.